1 minute, Sheila. Okay, Sheila, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Welcome all of you to this very important webinar, Sowing Hope for the Planet, but really engaging the vision of Laudato Si in our congregations. My name is Sister Sheila Kinsey. I'm a Franciscan sister, a daughter of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, and also the campaign coordinator for Sowing Hope for the Planet. And it really is a pleasure for me to welcome you to this webinar. We will be exploring many issues today that we have been looking at in the last couple months. And it's important for us to be able to catch you up on what we are doing. So it's a time for us to grow in solidarity, responsibility, and compassionate care, as Laudato Si calls us to. Pope Francis is asking us to be in that kind of place with each other. And also we're in the shadow of Earth Day, and the theme for Earth Day is Restore Our Earth. So we'll be talking about that as well. So we'll be looking at the overall framework of Laudato Si, this action platform. It really focuses on 3 areas: realizing the urgency of an integral ecology approach, including partnerships. How can we work together to really strengthen the unity that we need to make a difference? And looking at strategic planning, that we are moving towards a goal. We really want to have change, that we can deal with the climate, the change that's necessary for us to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius, as well as our concern for the environment, as well as our social concerns. So this is what we'll be looking at today. The urgency of the ecological crisis is certainly shown here on these photos in terms of dealing with floods and drought and how this impacts people living in that area. And yet we're coming with a ray of hope because of the message, the ecological spirituality that Pope Francis has given to us in Laudato Si. So this journey involves a commitment, and it's a commitment that's made with both unions, both the religious women and the religious men, but in different ways. At the assembly, then plenary assembly in 2019, the religious superiors by acclamation accepted this path going forward, a path for both personal and communal conversion to move forward together, orchestrated and coordinated in the response, listening to the earth and to the poor, being instruments of hope in the heart of the world, as a gathering, as a network, together, the whole in us is greater than the parts. And then recently, the Executive Council of USG expressed an interest in moving this forward in a strong way with the members of USG, support for the action platform, encouraging the members of the congregation to join in forces in a coordinated manner in the face of this important challenge. And for both, the pathway is going through the Sowing Hope for the Planet. That's why we are together now in seeing how we can make a difference. So some of the recent developments that we want to look at today is dealing with the JPIC promoters who shared plans for engaging Laudato Si with their congregational charisms, planning strategically or with their campaigns. That's session 1. Second part, we will be dealing with religious engaged in a course promoting Laudato Si in their congregations. Main emphasis, raising awareness. And for the third part, we're going to look at the sectors. There are 7 sectors, but we want to raise up the religious orders. Now, this is part of the platform. This is the way that Dicastery for Promoting Integral Human Development has called us forth to work together, to be in partnership with one another, which is really so, so important. And our fruits, how do we want to share them? First of all, we want to be very clear that we're integrating what religious are already doing. So we're not saying, okay, let's just put on another program. No, we're saying, look at what you're doing and how can this be integrated into this platform? We'll be giving ideas, again, sharing ideas that are simple and manageable and inspiring enough to motivate us to say, oh, let me consider this. Maybe I can change this. Maybe I can do it in another way, grow what I'm already doing. So that's part of the motivation. And we'll be sharing areas that are flexible enough to suit different contexts. So as Pope Francis says, if we want change, we need education and inspiration. So hold on, I think we're going to be having that this afternoon or morning or whenever it is that you are joining us. And again, our three basic elements that we put together for our planning and our platform at Carrying Forth Laudato Si, the public commitment based on our charism as religious congregations, realizing the Laudato Si goals, putting them into practice, and then networking, advocacy, working together in a way that we can make a change, a concerted effort to make a change. So before we go any further, I'd like to invite Father Amado Pickardell, who is with me in the office. He's the executive co-secretary of this JPIC commission for both unions, USG and UISG. He's a poet and a theologian. He's an environmentalist and a peace activist and a very strong promoter of human rights. And so we've asked him to join us in this session by really leading us forward in the prayer for today. So Father Amado, please.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Praise be to you, Lord, creator of all. Once again, we come together online from various parts of the world to share our engagement with the vision of Laudato Si. The earth cries out for healing as it continues to be polluted, deforested, and to heat up due to human patterns of consumption, greed, and selfishness. We are all affected, especially the poor in our midst, who are vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Time is running out. We are all in peril. Lord, we are aware that there is much to be done to address this ecological crisis. We cannot do it through our individual efforts alone. We need to work together as communities scattered all over the world. Lord, help us to be aware that we are all interconnected and we can only make a difference when we act as one.
Really, thank you, Father Amado, for really putting us in a receptive place, reminding us again about the importance of restoring the earth, the urgency of what we're about, and we have to be partnering together and engaging in a plan that will bring us forward in a way that we are united in communion with one another. So again, thank you for this carefully prepared prayer and the richness that you have given to us with your insights. Thank you, Father. So we ask to be filled with this dynamism and hope, especially when we seek and are feel discouraged and helpless. May our plans be realized and have lasting effects as we celebrate Earth Day, Soon we pray that our efforts may contribute to the renewal of the earth, our common home. And may what we do help sow hope for the planet. This we ask in Jesus' name. So I'd like to move on to the first part, and we're talking about engaging the charisms of the congregation. And the leader for us will be Brother Alberto Parisi. And he's been working with us doing an analysis of planning and helping with some future directions in terms of how we can actualize Laudato Si through a methodology of See, Judge, and Act. He comes with a lot of experience working in the university in Tanzgaga, really helping us gain a sense of how we can move forward. So Brother Alberto, please, will you continue with us?
Yes, thank you, Sheila. I'm going to share my screen. Yes. So the following observations are based on the presentation shared by the Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation coordinators of various religious congregations. Mostly, such presentations were given in the wake of the Justice and Peace workshop held in December 2020. But there is also information shared in other occasions. By and large, it appears that there are two broad approaches to facilitate the transition to integral ecology, namely a strategic plan approach and an animation campaign approach. Now we are going to see these emerging patterns, these two approaches. And then we are also going to see what some frequent strategies we found, in the plans of the congregations. And after seeing these patterns, we are going to have two testimonies, one from the Dominican sisters of the presentation, and the other one from the missionary sisters of Our Lady of the Apostles. And that is just to concretize, to give a vivid illustration of, what patterns may mean. And then there will be a very, very brief conclusion. So let's start with the strategic plan approach. This is a rather structured way of going about living Laudato Si in a congregation. It is a kind of institutional strategic plan, and generally it tends to include the following aspects: a baseline survey meant to document what is already being done and to have a reference for measuring change; a formation program to prepare personnel at all levels for a transition process. And this may include working on awareness, motivation, spirituality, know-how, and possible options, or practices, good practices. Then there is the alignment to Laudato Si goals, that is, connecting lifestyle and the apostolates of the communities to the Laudato Si goals through a shared vision and an overall process or plan. Another element, a recurring element, is the setting up of a dedicated organizational structure, that is, a system for rolling out the plan And this may include committees or coordinators, formation programs, planning processes at various levels, from the community to the institute level. And finally, a process of accompaniment, which may include animation, monitoring, evaluation, and networking. So it doesn't mean that all these elements are always present, but uh, basically these are the elements that we tend to find in those approaches that take, let's say, the style of a strategic plan for the congregation. Then we have the animation campaign approach. And this differs from the strategic planning approach in that it looks less structured and binding. It looks like a sort of campaign to promote Laudato Si vision, commitments, and practices in the life and ministry of the congregation. And generally, it tends to include the elaboration of a vision. This is often based on the reading of Laudato Si in relation to the charism and mission of the congregation. Awareness raising, the vision and good practices are then shared and promoted within the congregation using various means, such as congregational statements or documents, webinars and publications, short formation programs, and so forth. Then rolling out activities. Out of the work of animation, communities are encouraged to roll out Laudato Si inspired activities and initiatives. Often we find also this element of documentation and sharing. The sense of communion and synodality is nurtured by sharing experiences and initiatives. For this to happen, there is a need to create a forum or a space for communication and sharing. And finally, networking. Communication and sharing open up possibility for networking and scaling up the activities or joining advocacy campaigns. Then some frequent strategies. Of course, now we have seen two major approaches, and we realized that these plans, and around 80 different plans have been shared, they are all different from each other. So when we say that, they fall into one or the other approach, does not mean that they are exactly the same. They share some common patterns, let's say, but then the actual plans are very, very original, generally. And the same applies to these frequent strategies. They are kind of common patterns, but then the way of doing it can be very, very different. So we have, let's say, three families, let's say, of these frequent strategies. The first one, we can call it green community. This is about promoting the transition to integral ecology in relation to the lifestyle of communities. And it often includes a formation program on the vision of Laudato Si, the spirituality and the good practices connected to that. Then the adoption and adaptation of good practices at community level. For example, taking care of the garden and of the environment, you know, the vegetable garden and the environment around the community, separating the trash, saving energy and water, making more use of public transport and walking. Then eco-spirituality and liturgical celebrations are often a part of this program. And organic farming and poultry, herbal medicine, and afforestation. You know, there are so many possibilities and different practices that communities may choose to pick up. And then also leading by example and influencing others, the neighborhood, other communities, people whom the communities encounter in their apostolate. So that, this lifestyle somehow influences the lifestyle of also other realities, other people. Then we have the green projects. These are thematic projects undertaken at different levels, maybe at community level or provincial level or institute level. And for example, projects of renewable energy or planting trees, can be very, very different types of projects. And they are deeply connected with Laudato Si and integral ecology, but not necessarily these are part of the congregational main ministry. They're just green projects. Instead, the third family of strategies can be called the green apostolate. And this is about making an ecological transition in relation to the main apostolate or ministries of the congregations. And often we find a formation program as for the Green Community Initiatives, mainstreaming Laudato Si or integral ecology in congregational priority and ministries, networking and animation in the field, maybe in parishes, faith-based groups, and so forth. So this is just, let's say, common patterns. And as I said, these patterns may find expression in so many different ways. So now I'm going to invite two witnesses. We shall start with Sister Jacinta Gracie Miranda, Dominican sister of Charity of the Presentation. And she's Justice and Peace Coordinator for the congregation. She's a degree holder in social work and law, and she worked with the poor in tribal communities in India and in the slums of Bangalore. So, Sister Jacinta, you are most welcome to share. You have 8 minutes to share your experience.
Good afternoon to all. At the outset, I would like to thank Brother Alberto, Sister Sheila, and all the organizers of JPIC Roma for giving me this opportunity to share the experience of our congregation in the journey of Laudato Si. The opening message of our recent 55th General Chapter states that the great challenge is to respond with our life and our actions, whatever can be done to restore human dignity, denouncing any abuse that threatens life with obvious actions of justice and peace, defending life and caring for our common home. Our project is care of our common home, and its goal is to build communities that defend, promote, and care for our common home through an ecological spirituality enlightened by Laudato Si. And it is done through a journey towards, next slide, journey towards an integral ecology in the congregation, gathering all the fruits of reflection and ecocentric activities done in all our communities in our structures. When I mean structures, the provinces and vice provinces. And to analyze its effect on our lifestyle and mission, to reflect, recognize, embrace an integral ecological attitude, and to take further steps on. This goal is achieved the objective of continuing to work for the care and defense of life in its integrity with fundamental ethical options to protect the environment through experiential eco-pedagogical processes. And for this, we have taken certain resolutions. One is to arrive at an eco statement for the congregation. We are still in the process. We have not reached the final stage yet. And to integrate Laudato Si goals in our community project, meaning to include JPIC and care of our common home as being one of the aspects in our community projects itself. Promoting integral ecology in all our institutions, to encourage participation of ecological education and practice with our sisters and all the collaborators in our mission. To have the capacity building and training programs for all the JPIC delegates of our structures. And to circulation of information of available resources, webinars, courses, encouraging Laudato Si formation. Finally, to arrive at Laudato Si rollout plan, first of all in the communities, then at the structural level and at the congregational level. To arrive at the fulfillment of this goal and objectives, we have charted out certain activities. First of all, we have an organizational structure. First, we have JPIC International Coordinator for the congregation. That is right now me. And a General Counselor as a link person. And we have the JPIC Core Committee of one delegate of each continent. We are in 4 continents and 35 countries right now. And we have JPIC delegates also at the province and the vice province level, and a sister responsible for JPIC in each community. The specific areas of our Laudato Si initiatives are, next slide. To promote spirituality that is mindful of JPIC as an integral part of our service of charity. This is based on bottom to top approach. See, on the methodology of see, judge, and act. First one, to adoption of a simple lifestyle. That is to embrace eco-friendly lifestyle, living our family traits of simplicity, work, and poverty, and saying no to use and through culture. Next one is the response to the cry of the earth. Our general chapter calls us for to reinforce the actions of our sisters, communities, and institutions which support and care for our common home. It is done through community engagement and participatory action in the communities. Like as Brother Alberto said, the green environment, herbal kitchen gardens, promoting biodiversity, biogas, biocompost, natural products, etc. Living the 6 R's, that is to reduce, reuse, repair, recycle, rethink, and refuse. Promoting renewable energy by solar panels, saying no to plastic, thermocol, reducing carbon print, careful use of all the natural resources available, and electricity, etc. And creating Laudato circles in parishes, institutions, and missions. Next one, third one is response to the cry of the poor. Again, the Magna Carta of our work is the general chapter, teachings of the church. And the general chapter again says to us, discern in the local community what is the urgent missionary need that can be accompanied in the geographical context in which it is located in the local communities. associate with others in this work, and respond as a congregation to the problem of forced migration and other, whatever I will tell you later, in collaboration with the laity, other religious congregations, and interreligious groups. For this, we have come up with certain initiation of new projects and also maintenance of the existing projects and to update them in the line of Laudato Si goals, so that we come to a resolve to respond to the problems of the poor and bring justice to them and restore the dignity of the poor. Welfare of the community to be in our community budgets, that is to make a commitment to keep certain money for the purpose of the welfare of the poor in our community budget itself, and to have new missionary initiatives, that is we work with the women, families and children who are orphaned, abused, illiterate, and also parents who are children whose parents are in prison for indigenous and tribal communities, and also during post and during the COVID times with the refugees and migrants. Next one is the ecological education. This is done by providing the training for the JPIC delegates, especially in the Laudato Si animators training offered by Global Catholic Climate Movement, Laudato Si workshop by JPIC Roma, and webinars organized by USLG. All the delegates are attending or participating and are trained. These trained JPIC delegates offer the formation to the other sisters and the students information. And later, we organize activity celebrations and different initiatives to motivate and implement Laudato Si goals in our community and the congregation. Next one. Finally, once we have done this, we are ready to prepare a Laudato Si rollout plan. It is done at 3 levels. First, in the community, as well, along with this at the structural level, that is province and vice provinces. And also we have a call of the, according to the call of the general chapter, we also have formed inter-provincial JPIC team, especially where our presence is more. In Colombia, we have 5 provinces and they have formed a JPIC inter-provincial team to collaborate among them. Then from there, we come to the congregation level and we are in the process of building up on it. So we insist on ecological spirituality as response to the cry of the earth, and community engagement and participatory action as a response to the cry of the poor. This is done, as brother said, to share published articles, communicate with others, with all the initiatives that we have done in the community, personal level and the structural level in our congregational website. We celebration of international days and prayers for specific days of JPIC and Laudato Si, and circulating this to the communities. And also we have a one day fixed 14th of every month for JPIC in our congregation in the communities, commemorating the birthday of our founders, so that we are aware of our commitment to JPIC and Laudato Si. The activity is campaigns and participatory action. Listening to the general chapter says there are many experiences of suffering, violence, religious persecution, violation of human rights, destruction of our common home, etc., that are lived in the world and concretely in different countries where we are present. We cannot remain indifferent. We must rekindle the power of the Spirit and be conscious of the continuous call of God to go beyond borders and to incarnate the mercy and tenderness of the Lord. And listening to this call, we have go-green campaigns in all our communities and missions all over the world. To specify a few, the water campaign in Aconcagua through marches in defense of water, climate-smart agricultural practices and food security program in Bucaramanga, Amazon Network Project, a common project of 5 provinces in Colombia, that is provinces of Manizales, Santa Fe, Bogota, Bucaramanga, and Medellin. in collaboration with Pan-Amazon Network and the Religious of Colombia and the Laity, and human rights projects and advocacy campaign in Africa, France, Venezuela, and India, working with migrants and refugees in Spain, USA, Mexico, and Bogota. Education and healthcare projects of Laudato Si in Africa, Philippines, Jordan, Bolivia, Peru, and Colombia. Laudato Si circles in Cali, Bucaramanga, Colombia, Quito, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. Finally, I come to the conclusion. Based on the decisions of our general chapter, each structure and each local community has assumed this responsibility to respond to the cry of the earth and to cry of the poor in their own concrete situations and possibilities. Concluding with the exhortation of our general chapter, let us renew the spirituality of the charism of our foundress, Blessed Marie Puspan, to whom privation, poverty, need, and hunger moved and motivated her to live and go forth to meet all those who were waiting for her service of charity in solidarity. Let us also listen to the appeal of Pope Francis to all of us in Laudato Si number 13, which says, the urgent challenge is to protect our common home, includes a concern to bring the whole human family together to seek a sustainable and integral development, for we know that things can change. Thank you.
Please, Alberta, you're muted.
Yes. I think, so sorry for the inconvenience. I was introducing Sister Anne Falola, General Counselor of the Missionary Sisters of Our Lady of Apostles, and she's going to present to us their Laudato Si animation plan. And Sister Anne, welcome. You have 8 minutes.
Thank you very much, Alberto. I'm going to share my screen now. Thank you. No, sorry. I have to stop sharing and get back to the, sorry. It was too big. Yeah. Share again. No, I have to go to the beginning. It's starting in the, yeah. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to share the approach, animation campaign approach towards the implementation of Laudato Si, which is what we are doing as Sisters of Our Lady of Apostles. We have chosen this approach for certain reasons, that it's more adequate for our reality. First, because it allows for a more spontaneous action, which adapts to our diverse realities, while we continue to focus on the same goal. It gives you a level of freedom to be able to adapt our plan, our common plan, to your reality. Secondly, we are able to engage in small actions at a time to gradually grow into ecological conversion and a new lifestyle. Like at the beginning, we didn't really have a big plan. We just wanted to do something. And it is in that doing something that the plan gradually emerged for all of us. Then we also realized that our sisters are very busy. They have a lot of apostolates, a lot of engagements, and we didn't want to pile up extra work for them. So we encouraged them to engage in what they're already doing, but creatively, using Laudato Si values to create a new lifestyle. So that was why we took this. We didn't want to discourage them by giving them more things to do. And then people will say, oh, we are too busy, we can't do it. So we approach in a very simple and non-threatening manner. Now, we started with a vision. We know that Laudato Si is very important for us when it came out in 2015. And as a congregation, the then General Council developed a reflection sheet, which was adapted to our charism. So every person, every sister had this reflection sheet, which was to be used for your personal reflection, and then there is a part to be shared in community. This actually prepared us first to engage with the document. Each sister engaged with the document, and then they were shared in communities, and things emerged that helped us to prepare for our general chapter in 2018. So we were not surprised that at the chapter of 2018, there were a lot of orientations that encouraged us to strengthen our commitment in Laudato Si and in justice and peace. It was like our manifesto that this is the time to act. And we used the theme, courageously committed to God's reign of peace and justice. So that was our vision that energized us to do something. Now, when we started with this mandate, then we had to raise an awareness. And one of the plans is that after all the protocol of commission and all the things, we launched what we called OLA Green Community Campaign. It was a campaign which helped us to take off together, because we launched it formally during the season of creation of 2020. We produced some worksheets. We even had a celebrative webinar within the congregation. We had songs, do something in English, in French, which helped us to kind of get animated. We got animated. Everybody then wanted to do something. And with a little guideline from the General Council and from the International Commission, it helped everybody to want to engage. And in that program, we have 5 main areas of focus for Laudato Si, focusing on spirituality, on the house. That means how we organize our living, physical structure, the use of energy, the use of water, transport, then our environment, to be attentive to what's going on around us, our lifestyle choices, and to build local awareness. Now, working within this 5 framework, every local commission in provinces, in regions all over the congregation can design their own actions. And I think that was actually very helpful, because people didn't feel bound by an action that is elaborated by somebody far away. They could generate what works for them. They could also use their own creativity, and it helped us to even learn from the sisters who are working in different realities. For example, the action started rolling out then. And I give some of the examples of the actions that came up. The sisters in Argentina developed a Laudato Si rosary, which they use for children, with youth, with basic Christian community. So people could really, by saying the rosary, praying the rosary in the basic Christian communities, they are actually engaging already letting people, sensitizing people on Laudato Si. Then in Ireland, there was a conference organized among so many other activities, intergenerational climate justice, which was a collaborative effort in Cork. That's part of the actions that were rolled out. In Ghana, as in so many other of our provinces, especially in Africa, there were community gardens, vegetables, flowers that the sisters started developing, each one according to the realities around them. Another example is in Lebanon, there was a charter of environmental protection developed by students in our schools. This was jointly signed by their parents and the teachers to do little things in their homes, in their parishes, in the environment to protect the environment. That was an action that was rolled out in Lebanon. In Nigeria, we engaged a lot with the internally displaced people, especially the women who are victims of conflict, thinking of integral ecology. And then in Burkina Faso, the women engaged in no single-use plastic campaign. So in one of the centers of empowerment for women, they produced shopping bags. In that way, they were generating income for themselves and at the same time, encouraging people to use reusable shopping bags. These are some of the actions that were generated. In France, there was the making of organic compost. And in Botswana, our sisters developed a system of harvesting water and also recycling water from the laundry and kitchen so that they could have a garden because there was a shortage of water. So these are some of the actions that were rolled out from local initiatives. One of the very interesting aspects of integral ecology for us was using the existing platform, not creating something new. We have an organization in northern Nigeria that our sisters started for women, Christian and Muslim women. So we used this as a way of engaging beyond the church. So they are already there, the Muslim and the Christian women. So with this platform, we engage the women in cleanup campaigns, proper disposal of waste, youth peace club in order to end conflict, gender, health problems. All these challenges were channeled through this kind of campaigns and visits to schools by both Muslim and Christian and other denominations. So it has created for us also a way of engaging in interfaith and ecumenical dialogue with Laudato Si. Now, the sharing and documentation is the other level of engagement after the rollout of action, because we don't want all these actions to get lost in the local initiatives. So actually, this is what we are doing presently. We have generated a kind of monitoring tool to see what is going on, and we are collecting them. We actually, I know it is very small, the print, because it's actually kind of just to show you what is going on presently. It's not really to read the minute details of that document, because what we have done is that we have collected what each province is doing, and they are evaluating it. First is for documentation, and secondly is to share it among the coordinators in order to encourage, to network, and to help us to know what we can really do next. What is the next step to engage in? So these are the documentations that are emerging. It's a small document of about 20 pages that we go to all the coordinators. And the last but not the least is that engaging in this way with Laudato Si has actually helped the networking. I was so surprised how so many of the local coordinators themselves have engaged with global Catholic climate movement. A lot of them have started the course for Laudato Si animators. A lot of them are on this platform, Sowing Hope for the Planet, because they want to generate action in their provinces. So they look for the formation themselves in some of these areas. They are always in contact with JP Chroma, getting the materials. It has also helped us to engage more in the other social areas of Laudato Si, Talita Kum, Migrants, African Europe, Faith and Justice Network, and even also among ourselves. We are trying to network, we do more webinars, we try to do more formation online, and with our own SMA fathers, in some of the provinces, they are actually partnering to do the work together, because the Society of African Missions, we work together in many of our missions. So we partner together to do some of these actions. So we find that it has actually helped us to get, working together. So this is just in a short form, the framework we do. And to conclude, we say that this project is ongoing. It's not going to end now. So it's not a campaign that is ending tomorrow. The aim is that these values will become a part and parcel of our OLA life. This is how we stated in the document of the campaign. It will become a lifestyle for us. It will become a project in every community. And it's a way of life for our congregation, so that the future generations actually meet us doing something, not just letting the whole world pass by. So thank you, and God bless you, and God bless our efforts to reconnect humanity in communion with the creation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Anne, for your presentation. And well, in the question sessions at the end, participants will be given the chance to address to our witnesses, some questions for knowing more or getting any explanations. Now, I would like just to close this part with just some final remarks or conclusions. At times, the difference between strategic plan and animation approach is really subtle. These approaches constitute more of a continuum rather than an opposition. Generally, the strategic plan approach appears more structured and integrated across the congregation. Often it is accompanied with a baseline survey, which provides a point of reference for organizing efforts and measuring progress. Above all, it requires an organizational structure to facilitate coordinated participation of the whole congregation. The animation campaign approach instead seems to be less structured from an organizational point of view. Rather than organizing from a central level, animation aims at encouraging initiatives organized from the local level, from the periphery. However, in both cases, there is an effort in connecting the two levels, institute level and local community level. A centralized planning aims at giving birth to local commitments. When starting from the local level instead, often there is a space for sharing and networking in order to build communion and a shared journey. In any case, there is a tendency to combine different strategies that end up engaging various, if not all, the 7 Laudato Si goals. So thank you very much, and back to you, Sheila.
For organizing this session, and also for Sister Jacinta, I know that you had said some very favorable words and positive comments about the work that she put through in preparing for her presentation. as well. And Sister Ann, of course, coming in and sharing the different ways that you have been interacting with the communities and energizing them going forth. The song, I Gotta Do Something, you know, is something to hear, and you will feel really animated. Part about Sister Jacinta, she's only been in her position for a few months. So her congregation has been working ahead of her. And so we thank her and we thank her congregation, as both the Sister Ann's congregation, for allowing them to share the experiences of their congregation. So now we are going to the second part of this presentation. And I'd like to share with you some things about what it means to promote the congregation, promote Laudato Si in your congregation. And let me just say this about a program that we have put together since February, trying to organize the materials in a way that the persons who are to be animating their congregation and wherever they are, they have service to try to make alive Laudato Si. And we have already 800 signed up for this program, and we're receiving input in terms of evaluation and how it's going with them. So we have some insights about this process moving forward. And we've asked two persons to share this experience. Again, to say, you're not alone in this. We are partnering together. And this information that we have, it's being organized for your later use. So the first presenter here will be Father Bernard McKenna. He's from the Society of Mary, a Marianist priest. And he'll be sharing what they've done with their brothers, their sisters, and however they're engaged in their parish ministries. He comes from a formation background, with laity and novices and seminarians. He is on the international leadership team, and he'll be sharing then his ways that he has begun to work with his own Marist family. Please, Father Bernard, share with us your experience. Okay, you're on mute. Okay.
There we are. And for some reason, when I'm looking to share my screen, which I shared before, I can't find it. This is one of those very embarrassing moments. If I minimize that, I should be able to find it. Have you got my presentation there with you? Sheila, have somebody got my presentation? Show all windows. PowerPoint presentation, no.
Bernard, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes.
And I will.
I have the presentation here, but for some reason, I tested it before the meeting and I got it. You have the presentation there with you?
Show all the windows. Here you go. Here you go, my brother.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Apologies for that. Okay, so greetings to everybody. So I come from this little island here, Tasmania in Australia. I was taught by the Marists. I joined them and I spent my life, 30 years of my life in this part of the Pacific, around all of these islands in different forms. It's very important in the time of Laudato Si, because these islands are very vulnerable to sea rise. A lot of places are having to relocate villages already. So at our last chapter, well, this little photo here, that's a Tasmanian devil. That's unique to where I come from here. And this little, on the right-hand side is the Fijian drua, which is the traditional way of sailing. A lot of these island states are called large ocean states because their greatest resources are actually in the 200-mile zone surrounding the islands. Next slide, please. Yeah, so at our general chapter 2017, this became a major issue for the chapter. So our Superior General set up an ecological commission whose roles are then to try and educate people in the congregation, to do research, to teach about Laudato Si, and to publish, and then to contribute for each community in the society to contribute to ongoing formation of the people through education, seminars, and awareness raising. So I got the job here on the General Council as our JPIC promoter, and that's how I come to be here today. Great, next one, thank you. So how do we use the See, Judge and Act methodology? Well, for myself, when, from a personal side, when Laudato Si came out and I read it, I became aware, and for some years I'd been thinking, who is God for us now in an ever-expanding universe? So the people Jesus was talking to, they saw the world similar to what we see in that diagram we see there on the left. They were the center of the universe. Whereas now we know we are one small planet in part of the solar system, and our galaxy is one of millions or billions of galaxies. So that made me go then to a resource in our congregation, which is on the next slide. So in 2005, I hunted through our documents. I knew this was there because Prophet Micah, up here in the top right-hand corner, a minor prophet, he said something very major.
Yeah.
To see, judge, to act justly, love tenderly, and walk humbly with God. So this is an integral spirituality that we've adopted in our congregation in terms of personal holiness, community life, and mission. And then I saw in the light of Laudato Si, well, we could look at a personal holiness. That's a way to reframe that in language that people understand today is the ecological self, that each of us is actually an ecological system. And community life, well, our communities are an ecological system as well. So to create healthy ecological communities within the society, and from there to develop ecological missions that are appropriate to wherever we are. Okay, thank you. Next one. So we developed a sustainability covenant as a draft document, which I was able to present here a couple of weeks ago. It's on the Thinkific platform. It's just a draft document with principles and then practices, and then asking each community and each unit in the society to do it to implement it according to their local circumstances, and to review it once a year. And then we developed a blog and got the link there, but that's just every week we try and put out something that someone is doing somewhere in the society. And often these people are on the fringes, they're not mainstream, you know, it's a prophetic work. And I find, even if a lot of people don't read the blog, but the person themselves, if we promote them, it's also already an affirmation of the work that they're doing in some of these lonely and isolated places where they are. And that's a great affirmation of them. One of the things I did personally myself was that I've heard other people say they've done the Global Catholic Climate Community Animators Program, you know, just so that try and keep up to speed with what the issues are and what skills that we need. And then I'm here where we are today when the USIG and USG Promoters Program. This keeps us all on board with one another and moving forward. Okay, we'll keep going. And then What have been the results of this? Well, at the bottom there, we've got our little group that work together from the different branches of the Marist family. I find we're in the second model that the brother Alberto explained today. We're really animating, and sometimes it can be discouraging. Not a lot of people getting on board. It's not a strategic plan. So, but the good news is our superior generals from the Marist brothers, the Marist sisters, the Marist missionary sisters, and our own branch will be meeting next month. And they have asked, the brothers have asked particularly, that we let them know what we're doing as a team for Laudato Si. So that gives me great hope. We also asked Father Josh from Corinthian to present a seminar, which he did for the 4 branches of our congregation. And then each of us have shared that with the lay members of our branches. So there's hope, picking up momentum, and we hope and trust that great things will happen in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Bernard, for sharing where you've come from. I mean, you're in some of the initial stages of starting and organizing your community, not only for your priests, but also for your brothers and for the sisters and all of the branches together. So thank you for really giving us a sense of how to go about it. What are some of the beginning stages that we need to consider? So thank you very much for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
I'd like to now introduce Sister Carol, who will be joining us. If I can get their arm here, they can move forward here. Sister Carol, again, has been working with the Think a Pick program, which is the course that we've developed to try to organize the teaching or the information that we have to be used in our congregation. She's the director of the JPIC office in New York, the Sister of Charity. She's very active in different kinds of organizations related to the care of creation and in ways of promoting Laudato Si. The picture she has here is they are in a demonstration or even in a prayer vigil before Pope Francis is to appear before the United Nations, just before they are to vote on the Sustainable Development Goals. So her animation there is very much in work with the United Nations, as well as many other areas in New York. So I would like to introduce then Sister, if I can get that, stop my screen share here. Sister Carol, please. Okay. Say a few words and then I will show your presentation for you as you animate it, okay?
All right, or would you want me to share it? Let's see.
You can, if you want to, go ahead.
Okay. Oops. I don't know what happened here. Okay, share. Terrific. So hopefully everyone can see this slide, and I realize that we have a little bit shorter time than I expected. So I'm going to go through the slides very quickly. This first slide is really important. I want to put it into context. When Sheila asked if I would share why I decided to engage our congregation in the process, one was we were already doing so much with Laudato Si. And it was great to hear how Sowing Hope for the Planet was encouraging us, inviting us to join in this Laudato Si action platform. And the Sisters of Charity of New York, though we are an archdiocesan congregation, we are in many ways, our relationships and our partnerships and collaboration touches all the different seven sectors in the Laudato Si action platform. So this slide, these slides are for us here now, but hopefully also our own congregation. Our assembly in 2019, which is our general chapter, the theme was Charity Rising. And we have been looking at what does charity look like in the 21st century. And though we did not mention Laudato Si a lot in our assembly, the whole theme of Laudato Si was integrated throughout. And I just want to draw attention because Sheila mentioned it earlier. And one of the wisdoms, the little highlights of the webinars that I've been participating in is that it's so important as we engage in this process that we know who we are and that we build on already existing ways. So I want to say that we have been trying to live Laudato Si through our charity, charism, and mission, very much in our collaborative efforts within the congregation and beyond, and how important community and relationship building is. And this is what has happened over these years, and how care for our earth, our home, and our brothers and sisters has really grown in greater understanding with Laudato Si and our seeking the common good. So I'm going to just go very quickly because towards the end, I think it's really important. We as sisters, many of us, recognize what it means to be part of that 13.8 billion year evolving history. We are very much involved in New York City and the local area, but we are so blessed to have 2 ministries in Guatemala, connecting very much with our Guatemalan brothers and sisters. And this is a picture of the beekeeping project where our young people are learning a trade, a way to have a business to raise honey. And this is a picture of our Sisters Hill Farm, which was begun in 1999, which is community supported agriculture. So in many ways, we are connecting, and we have been connecting to what Laudato Si is calling us to. Some pictures from our mount, and all I will say on this, rather than get specific, is you can see the beauty of Mount St. Vincent, where many of us live, where we have a college. We have tried to engage people in different ways to come to the Mount, to enjoy and to listen to the song of creation, which Laudato Si engages us in. So I won't spend too much time speaking about this. These 2 pictures to the right show how at our assembly, we try to connect the theme of Laudato Si, that all is related, all is connected, with the many different issues that we're engaged in. These issues, the pictures of these issues, do not just represent the Sisters of Charity of New York, but they represent the many different organizations and faith-based groups, environmental groups, Bread for the World, Jubilee USA Network, Food and Water Watch, many different groups that we connect with, and all of them relate to different segments of the Laudato, or different parts of the Laudato Si goals. And we tried to bring in a little bit of fun. So I'm just going to move on here. One of the groups that has been so helpful to keep Laudato Si before us is our Creation Transformative Energy Committee, that really evolved since the early 1990s, when we had a committee on global interdependence. This is a picture of a group that meets on Zoom now, that has been looking at Laudato Si. It's actually a 10-year-old group that decided to focus on Laudato Si when it first came out, is now looking at Fratelli Tutti. This is an example of one of the intergenerational conversations that we had on Care for Creation just before COVID-19 happened. And this is a picture of a life-transforming spirituality group of many of our sisters, many of whom are in retirement and live in various retirement homes of our congregation. And so these are some of the groups that are helping to get Laudato Si into our soul and into our the fiber of our being. And one of the most recent things that we did was to put into this Lenten season quotes from Laudato Si that related to our Constitution. And we invited people to reflect and share on various ways we're called to integral ecology and ecological conversion. A some pictures from when, and we're all familiar, I think, with the Pope's call to share the journey of several years ago. And so these are just some examples. And one of the great things, for instance, is our immigration committee sees very much their deep connection to Laudato Si. And one of the things we try to do is in our work on immigration and migration is connect with more closely with our Guatemalan missions, because we recognize that they are addressing very directly the root cause, trying to form people and educate people and call people through education and programs so that they don't feel they have to migrate up north. So we are connecting both with the root causes as well as our advocacy. Again, old pictures where we're involving season of creation prayer, our young people. This was when Greta Thunberg came to New York City down at Battery Park, a group that we're very involved in. I will mention in just a minute. Many of the sisters in this picture, some of them working on ecological issues, Regina and Mary, very early on. So we have been hearing the cries of the poor, and more recently, very much since Laudato Si, and even before, connecting care for the creation, care for our earth with the cries of the poor that we have been closely connected with since our beginnings in 1809. I want to, I'm not going to read the print on this slide, but for me, this is what has engaged and energized and inspired me in helping to promote Laudato Si, both within the congregation, but also beyond. I'll mention just these three groups. I see that there are other people on this call, and I'm involved with them in other groups. But ROAR, Religious Organizations Along the River, has been in existence since the early 1990s. We were involved in land use and trying to see how we as religious congregations could listen to our land so that we just didn't use it in a utilitarian way. But what is the land calling us to? Very involved in the PCB removal in the Hudson River. And we've evolved over the years. And this is a picture to the right of one of our recent meetings where Frank McCann, for the second time, shared with us the Laudato Si Action Platform, because we're calling ourselves as about 15 men and women religious congregations to engage in some kind of process and also to engage as a group. How can ROAR engage in this group to promote Laudato Si in a more structured way? We've been doing it already since Laudato Si came out. I'm not speaking too much about what our congregation has done through its investment policies, but we are a member of the Investor Advocates for Social Justice, IASJ. Some of the people on this call are also members, and we are very much committed to what IASJ is doing, is calling us to, is promoting, and we are engaging companies that we invest in on climate and justice policies and actions. And maybe perhaps the most powerful group that I want to talk about, because this is a real grassroots lay group, is the Metro New York Catholic Climate Movement. That has been very significant since there's no formal way of getting the word out on Laudato Si to our parishes. So at least in the New York Archdiocese. So one of the ways we've been very active is gathering and networking Catholic leaders who are very interested in promoting Laudato Si, integral ecology, ecological conversion. So I'll just give one or two examples. The flyer here is one of the Sustainable Sunday Speaker Series. And this is available to anyone who wants to join, especially now that we're doing Zoom. And it really addresses this particular parish's Care for Creation team has a monthly Sustainable Sunday series. This addresses one of our key water issues. in the Hudson River Valley region. And so it is one of many where we're discussing food security, water issues, clean energy. So I think my 3 minutes are done, but I just want to go back to those 4 words. I think the charism, collaboration, the community for network building, and the working for the common good. I'm just so very grateful, Sheila, and all those involved in Sowing Hope for the Planet and your collaboration with the Vatican and with Global Catholic Climate Movement, because I think what you have done, especially with the Thinkific platform, is you've helped us see more clearly and made it a little bit more easier for us to see how we can develop a strategic plan or a campaign, not make it so overwhelming. And you're there to help us and support us. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carol, for taking us very quickly through all of the years of your experience and how you've gathered people together in such a gentle way. It's hard to say no to you, I think. So, and your message is so life-giving for the community. And thank you for mentioning the organizations, particularly as Father Bernard did also, the Global Catholic Climate Movement, which is one of our collaborating partners, that's for sure. And we really want to continue to share together the resources because we're stronger together. We're stronger together. So thank you very, very, very much for all of that and for praying for the Pope, because he certainly did a wonderful job at the UN when he was there. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to share my screen again for this next part to kind of summarize the fact that we were talking again about the Thinkific. We were talking about putting a course together. And we're saying there are some challenges, and this is what we're trying to do with this webinar, is to look at how can we share different experiences. I know you want them in more languages than we have it, but at least you're asking for more things. And the other part is how can the different congregations learn from one another. You're really quite happy with many of the things that we've done in terms of the presentations and the sharing of the resources. The PowerPoints, I mean, today is an example of the wonderful things that are taking place. You have some challenges in terms of, how do we work together with our mission and Laudato Si and this platform? And I think this is a journey that we're all trying to face and together. And we have some proposals about how can we be clearer about this. But let me just say this, what are we serious about? We're about systemic change. When you can hear from the presenters that we've had so far, they are too. And as we said with the Berlin Wall, it took 3.5% of the German people to be behind that tremendous movement. And it will take 21 to 25% of us to make a change within our religious congregations. But as you can see, our presenters were really talking about all the different ways that they have been making an influence wherever they are. So we just want you to know that when we ask for information, we really do read it and share it. And that's what leads us right to this last part that we're going to be sharing, the Laudato Si Action Platform. As has been mentioned, we are working together with others. So the third part is about the 7 sectors, of which there's the family, the education institutions, the economy, parishes, hospitals, and healthcare centers, various kinds of organizations, and religious orders, which we are a part of. Much of this organization is being done through the Global Catholic Climate Movement. Leadership is coming from the Dicastery of Integral Human Development, and we are there at the table. And you can see what we are bringing. We're bringing a lot to this whole program, and they appreciate it. We are often mentioned in terms of gratitude for what we've done. And we're realizing this through the 7 goals. And you can see as we went through the presentations, the cry of the earth, the cry of the poor, the economy, different lifestyles, education and ecology, ecological spirituality, and how can we have community engagement in order to have advocacy efforts in a way that we can be stimulating and making a difference. So this is where we're going now. We are really working to be together, and webinars help us do this. So in this last part, we're talking about this sector of 7, but we're going to emphasize where we are as religious. And in the sectors, we had to choose teams to be involved in the different areas. And each member had to say, oh, okay, I'll commit 2 weeks, two hours of work to this, and it'd be time bound. So it's going to be a few months projects. And we're looking at the background of different persons in terms of what they bring to the table to help us really find a way to move forward. And to share this experience with you, we've asked Tanya Avila Menez from Bolivia, who is a part of this religious sector, and she is representing CLAR, which is the Commission of Latin American Confederation of Religious in South America. She has been a facilitator of intercultural communication and conflict transformation, and she hopes to share this experience. She will be sharing this experience with CLAR. She will be speaking to us in Spanish. She will have words of wisdom for us to share, and we appreciate her being with us now. So please, Tanya, share your story.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheila. It's very interesting listening to the different experiences and how throughout these 7 years, all the different experiences are being gained with Laudato Si. And within my team, well, we had to face challenge. First of all, we listen to you and the platform of Laudato Si. And we've seen that there are 7 objectives that we tried to identify how each congregation could achieve these objectives. This motivated us to do as much as we could. But the proposal was systemic too, because everything that each congregation does affects what we do, where conversion of mentalities goes hand in hand with the conversion of attitudes of each person and of each congregation. With my federation, we feel empowered to share our experience with the presidents and secretaries of the 22 national congregations of Latin America and the Caribbean region, as well as with other responsible. It's a big challenge, especially to encourage conferences to call the religious of the JPIC within the framework of these 7-year period, and our religious life needs to be and our religious communities needs to be surprised by the desire of the congregation to want to be part of the Laudato Si path from their own context and their own missions, knowing that many congregations already have decided what their path would be. We needed to make all our experiences visible. And the richness of this second meeting we had with larger group was to be able to create together another reality and weaving new dreams in local realities, taking care of a common home by being connected with a technological platform, making it visible, making the different efforts visible. And we see that much is being done, and the platform will allow us to see the whole of the fabric which is being built to take care of our common home and which can be inspiring to us. Two of CLAR, we are part of this team of the religious sector. It's a shared challenge between different people and experiences with different backgrounds in different areas. And we are about to raise awareness and motivate consecrated life as part of this path. But as Sister Anne said, respecting their pace so that it doesn't need to be an additional activity, but we just want to strengthen the commitments we already had through the Laudato Si and try to reinforce our actions through joint steps, listening to us, sharing previous experiences so that we can support this process, because it's easy to start a process, but the challenge is in supporting it and continuing it. And we want to have the heart and the minds in order to listen to what the Spirit whispers to us in our journey. The objective is the ecological spirituality. And together with Anne and John, we are thinking that how to raise awareness for religious life at a global level in order to co-inspirate each other and work together so that we can change this care into a co-responsibility. To this end, we need to connect from the CLAR team and from different other teams with different institutions, other networks like REPAN, the Amazonic region, or with the network of Latin America. And it's time to listen to other people and to listen to each of us so that these listening and dialogue experiences through intercultural dialogues will turn into a real Laudato Si experience. I really hope that through these experiences we'll be able to undertake a common journey between religious life and laymen and lay women for the care of a common home. It's important to raise awareness about religious life because we so have the ability and the possibility to listen to the cries of the earth and of humankind, but also to listen to silences, those silence voices that need to get a boost, they need to be heard so that they can find again their voices and they claim back and recover their dignity. I believe that congregations can play a vital role in the care of our common home, but we also need the actions of lay people so that they can be supported and they can be a networking effect. Interdependence is necessary because we are all part of the church. This is a way to boost a real learning area between different peoples, indigenous people, urban citizens, and consecrated religious life, so that we can take care together every day of our Mother Earth. It's a time where we share our knowledge and wisdom so that we can support them and we can take them beyond the platform and on the platform, but also beyond. And the platform needs to take on a human face and a community face too. I think that's another challenge, is the fact that we need to make virtuality a common ground where we can take care of our common home. Thank you very much for sharing your time with me and for this opportunity to learn among all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for sharing the experience that you've had with the sector, as well as your challenge to be working with CLAR and the different organizations that you represent, and that you were one of the auditors at the Synod of the Amazon, and they were very fortunate to have your voice there and your ability then to bring a transformation, out of conflict and giving new life. And so thank you very much for giving the voice from South America to us at the table. God bless you for that. So here, oops. So just to kind of bring together some of the things that we have been working on. Now, we've just been sharing things that happened since January. So much is still going to be taking place with this sector of religious, but the whole 7 persons that are represented in this Laudato Si platform. We will be getting together this month some footsteps that we're going to be reviewing. And what we're doing is we're going to look at indicators, their targets, so to speak, and we'll be looking at the language in order to make it adaptable to the language that speaks to the religious context. So we'll be talking about giving presentations to religious congregations as opposed to giving it to a parish or to a school. So we'll be very careful about that language. We also want to look at how is it developmental and are we able to achieve this kind of change that we really want to see happen. We'll be looking at some templates for commitments. Father Bernard talked about one that he shared in terms of his own manifesto. Anne spoke about a manifesto. We've talked about what the religious congregations have done. So kind of give some kind of templates for people to choose to make changes that they need. Some resource sharing and animating the community. So this is what we have ourselves in store for us in terms of the sector. So if you talk about modeling the footsteps, we're going to, again, be flexible, adapted to the language of the working groups, and we'll be having a meeting actually next week to give our input on this. Again, we have 7 years to see that this happens. In terms of tools, we'll be looking at these templates probably by May, we hope, on the public statements and how to be planning events or any other area that we feel we could be sharing across the 7 sectors. We will be able to share resources. So when you think about all of the sectors and all of the work that's being done, for example, in carbon footprint, there are ways that we can share the work that we're doing that doesn't necessarily have to be something that one group has to do. So this networking, this partnership, which is so important to this movement going forward, this will be engaged in over the summer months to see in what ways we can share information. Be very clear though, we're about doing this together. So yes, we're going to be working together, but we'll also be clear that those in the religious sector also has accompaniment, that we will be working together. Our identity is so important, and that is what we'll be sharing with the whole. We already began to do this animating with the communities, with the sharing that you heard from the JPIC workshop. The class, we've had 2 webinars specifically geared for animating with congregations, and we can see that we may need some more of those. So but this is important that we work together. We ask for input, and we'll also be asking for some sense of numbers, because if we're going to be at a tipping point, we need to have an idea of how many persons we are actually having an influence with. That's very important to the whole process. So as we look at the journey, there are going to be certificates or granted to those who are going to be completing the steps, the footsteps, and each of the area targets. And then when we see about the areas that's Cry of the Earth, Cry of the Poor, all 7 of those are going to have a certain amount of footsteps connected to them in order for the activity to be considered completed or that will be in place, that will be able to be continued forward. You have 7 years to do this, but there is a certificate for that particular program if you so hope to engage in it. However, all are encouraged to do what they can with Laudato Si platform. So we are encouraging you to be a part of the Sowing Hope for the Planet, to do whatever it is that you can do to make a difference. Now, we're going to be having what we call a soft launch in May. May 24th is going to be the time when persons want to begin to enroll, saying, I think my community is willing to seriously consider making a commitment to an integral ecology that's sustainable. So we'll be asking for, or the dicaster will be asking for those who will want to make that commitment. And there's a time period for that. You have between the 24th of May and the 4th of October to make that commitment. And on the 4th of October, that is when the announcement will be made for the first group of those who are wanting to make a commitment for a sustainable ecology. This will happen every year, so we hope to gain more persons, more congregations involved in this process. So, you have time to make this really something that speaks to you and something that you can really carry forward. So let me just give you a little bit of a calendar so that you know what's taking place. So here we are, we're in the Laudato Si anniversary year, special whole year. But during the end of May, there is what we call the Laudato Si week. So there will be many, many activities going on in celebration of this Laudato Si week. And then coming then on the 24th of May, at the end of this week, is this announcement, the soft launch. The enrollment process is going to begin. But by June 10th, we will have another webinar. So we'll be able to catch you up on what's happened. How can we move forward with the Laudato Si action plan? So we're waiting for this kind of an enrollment to come through so we know what it is that we can say to you. As you heard me say, we're just going to be reviewing now in April what some of these indicators are for the different areas for the Laudato Si action platform. So we hope to have this ready for you. The timeline is tight, but this is important on June 10th to give you even more development. And then coming with that, the season of creation, which has a theme, a home for all. And that's the question. Are we really having this be a home for all? So we'll be celebrating that or honoring that during this time period of September 1 to October 4th. Even included in that, there's going to be the Migrants' Day and also some work on terms of nonviolence and peace building. So we're folding in other areas that are important to us. And then at the end of that period, on October 4th, we will have the launch of those committed to sustainable integral ecology, a grand celebration for that. We're so excited about that. But this is our plan already from May through October, what we're looking to see happen. And this month, Cardinal Turkson is sending out a letter to all of the superiors and all of those connected to the Catholic Church in any way, the leaders that is, to announce this Laudato Si action platform and inviting them to come forth and participate in whatever way is possible. And it is important for you to know that we've been working on this. So it's not something new. It's inviting because Cardinal Turkson knows that we've been doing so many things. And so we thank you for your participation in this webinar. The website for Sowing Hope for the Planet is indicated here. And if you're interested in signing up to the Thinkific program, which was mentioned a number of times in this presentation, please contact jpicroma@gmail.com because you need an invitation to that program, and we would be able to give you that. So thank you so much. There may be some questions that you can bring forward or we could answer. I think, Patricia, you were kind of looking at that to see if there's anything else that we need to consider before we close off this webinar. Again, thank you for being here with us again. This journey has been something for sure. God bless you. Patricia, please.
Yeah, at the moment I don't see questions. Actually, there are a lot of messages of support for all our speakers because they were very concrete, clear, and so it seems the participants feel that they have like something that they can share with the congregation, a clear plan to bring about. So there is really, I don't see questions actually, a lot of comments. So
a lot of, okay, that's.
So there's a question.
Oh, here we go. All right.
What website should we keep an eye on regarding the Laudato Si platform? Sowing Hope for the Planet to JPI0?
Okay, you can go Sowing Hope for the Planet, but one of the announcements, it's still in the making, is that there will be a website. And again, the Global Catholic Climate Movement. This is a group, many young people. So we're very fortunate to have that energy and that technical ability to move us forward. This is hoped to be launched also sometime during, at least during the Laudato Si week. They are having a website in 9 different languages. So it's a challenge. So we will be informing you when that website is ready. We've had a number of dates, but we've still been kind of like you say, moving the goalposts. We keep extending it because there's many things that they need to consider. So the Laudato Si Action Platform website will be there, but connections on that website will be made to the other websites because as you see, we've got a lot of resources that people will want to be looking at in the different sectors. So that's all to be worked out. So yes, that's major. And there will be a one dedicated for that as well. Thank you for asking that question.
And I think I can ask Catalina, please, to put in the chat the email of the GPIC and also the email of the Sowing Hope for the Planet. Okay. Perhaps, Sheila, there is a clarification to make about the 2 websites because some people are asking to share some of the documents from the Sowing Hope to the JPIC website. I don't know if you can clarify again this one.
Okay, let's see. I will clarify that because Justice, Peace, Integrity of Creation we are the coordinating group for Sowing Hope for the Planet. And what happened is it just started out, Sowing Hope for the Planet started out as a little campaign. You saw what happened to the campaigns. And it was really basically between the dicastery, with Father Josh and the whole ecology and creation part of the Dicastery of Integral Human Development and the Sowing Hope for the Planet and involving both, initially really being spearheaded by the sisters. The UISG really got on board with it. And then the men's congregation gradually became a part of it because they work differently. The men's congregation worked more individually than the sisters' congregation. So, we're bringing them forward. Then last year on the 24th of May, Pope Francis says, let's make this whole year, which we're now in, and not only make this whole year Laudato Si anniversary year, but let's involve everybody. Let's involve, you know how he is. Let's involve everybody. Let's get all the sectors, get all the dicasteries involved, and let's be clear. We're going to make change. We have to put our spirituality into practice. So what we're trying to do is catch up. So we have the Sowing Hope for the Planet basically for this campaign, but we also do things like on nonviolence and peace building and human rights. And all of these things, we're trying to find a way, how do we fold those in? So you will find different areas, different information on the two different websites. Also, this is just making it complicated. I don't know how helpful this is, but anyway, on the Thinkific, there are 3 programs. And one of them is the Laudato Si Action Platform for Promoters. There is also a very fine program that we had on Fratelli Tutti. It was Building Bridges and Reconciliation. And there are a number of areas in there that fold over like Fratelli Tutti does for Pope Francis about the environment. If you want to have access to that course, you can also have access to that course. Another one that we did, which you saw in the first session, was dealing with the JPIC promoters. That course is on there as well. It was a way for us to organize our information, so you could go at it and you log in. You have to get your own password, and you have to keep logging in the same email address. But it's a way to try to offer something in an organized way, but also you can interconnect. So we're growing. So you can go to
just
both.
one other clarification, because some people are asking if they can share all these links,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
with their sisters, the members of the
Yes,
congregation.
that's what this is about. We're talking about the networking. This is we have to do this. We have to see ourselves together. As Pope Francis says, the whole is better than the part, even the sum of the parts, because you could feel here a dynamic. This is energy here, even though we're all over the place. This is for you to use to share the message. We want, if you would want to be the promoter, it's systematic. You know, you're not just picking this and there. With the platform course, you are able to get the information, and it's updated in a timely manner. So. Please.
Sheila, just another clarification. I'm stating, all the recordings of this webinar in 4 languages will be tonight in the USG YouTube channel. But from tomorrow on, you will also find it in the Sowing Hope for the Planet website, together with the presentation. Just
yes.
Another question, Sheila, about ThinkFIC, because there are sisters who are JP promoters who are asking how we can access ThinkFIC. We have to write to you, and we can also invite the provincial JP promoters to do that.
Yes, you can. And I also wrote a letter for the Superior Generals. I hope they have got that. It was sent out, or is to be sent out, to help update them, because often you say to us, we need to help, we need to inform the major superiors, and you're doing much of the work, but they need to know what's taking place. So so that's a part of it. So we'll put those things, we will post those things as we are able to download them and put them on the different sections, and let you know what's available. Okay.
Just one other question for you, Sheila. How is your animating communities ThinkFIC related to the Laudato Si animators course?
Oh, that's a very good question. Okay. The interesting thing is, I also took the animators course from the Global Catholic Climate Movement, and you saw it mentioned, and it's an excellent course. And I'm on the steering committee of the Global Catholic Climate Movement, so I'm there, helpful. So if you have taken that course, you may have some conflict that we need to look at, because ThinkFIC doesn't always think separately. And so we sometimes have had to do some little adjustments for you on the ThinkFIC for our use. So we have bought into the program. I mean, we also have rights to the ThinkFIC for our own use. So the platforms, it's the same type of program, only we have different courses. We found that way of engagement with the people that were responsible and want to be a part of it, that was a very good platform. It was a good experience, and you heard that said by the others as well. So that's the piece. Okay.
I don't have any other question. Oh, there is another one, sorry. El lanzamiento, en español. El lanzamiento que se hará el 24.
The launch that will take place on the 24th of May, how will it take place? Through which platform?
Would you want to give that to me?
It's okay for you? Okay, no. The launching in May 24, which kind of platform are you going to use?
This, again, is a collaborative effort. So we will find out how this will take place when the dicastery tells us. So we know they've got some big event planned on the 24th. I don't know more than that. Maybe some of the speakers that they're trying to align. It's going to be streamlined, so people would have you would have access to, being a part of it or being a recipient of it. But I can't tell you more than that. Again, with this, what you are hearing from us is because we're at the table, and we can tell you as much as we know at the time that it's happening. So what we give you may be limited, but it's not incorrect. You see, we're trying to make sure that what we share, and again, as you heard, the 7 sectors, we want to embrace the whole church and the whole world. My goodness, we really want to make change, and we can with the enthusiasm that's here, and we continue to grow it. It'll make a difference. They'll wonder what we're up to, because we believe in this. We believe in this. So we'll let you know how this all will fold out as soon as we know, and we can be definite about it. That's okay.
Sheila, just you can clarify how they can sign up for this event. They can write to you, or you will give us more information?
We'll give you more information because
through the newsletter.
Yeah,
okay.
well,
you see how much enthusiasm.
Yes, we will want this. We will want this, but we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones. And you know, as again, this is such an exciting event because we're trying to work together. We're trying to be a team, no matter what the part is. What the part is, we want to do our part. We want to do our part, and you can see everybody is. Everybody is. Do something, as that song says from Sister Ann. Do something when we are.
Thank you, Sheila. I can count all the messages of thanks, you know, and support for all the speakers and you.
Oh yeah, they're very good. And thank you, Patricia, for facilitating, and all of our interpreters. For goodness sakes, they had to keep up with us and tried in some way to share the enthusiasm from the speakers. So thank you. God bless you.